Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Falls Township Planning Commission meeting of January 28th, 2025. Salute the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Mr. O'Brien, can you pull the board, please, for attendance?
Mr. Everett,
Present.
Mr. Henderson,
Present.
Mr. Haney,
Present.
I'm here. Mr. Russell,
Present.
All right. We're going to go out of order real quick to do our reorganization. I'm going to appoint Mr. Henderson as the temporary chairman.
Yes. I would now like to open nominations for chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Haney.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Mr. Haney.
All right. Nominate Colin Henderson for vice chairman.
All in favor?
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Nominate Jesse O'Brien for secretary.
All in favor?
I'll
Sorry.
second.
First time.
And for vice secretary, Daniel Everett.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha, okay. We're going to continue with the same of the fourth Tuesday of the month.
7 p.m.
So, all good?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to item number 1, TJJ Properties, 9240 East Tyburn Road, Morrisville, PA, TMP number 13-047-014. It's a waiver of land development to install a 50 by 65-foot post-frame garage. How you doing?
Thank you. My name's Dave Wallace-Savage, work for Pioneer Pole Building as the engineer and the builder. We have here the owners and her son, if you have any questions about the uses. I know the first question, like I said, we got Mr. Jones's letter. Do you want to go through the letter at all? Or
Just go through what you're exempt, want to describe what the project's going to be.
Yeah,
just at high level, and then you can go right through to what you want for your exemptions.
Fair enough. The item number 1 is the intended use. Basically, it's going to be a maintenance garage for his existing building, so accessory to his existing facility, just expanding. There's no underground utilities on site. They have overhead electric to their existing office. The new office building will have electric to it, but no water and sewer. So there'll be no bathroom or no office. It'll just be for maintenance of vehicles.
So it's not an office then?
No, they're going to maintain the office they're already in.
Okay.
So no bathroom, no sewer. Additionally, what were we, one other thing I wanted to say about the building. Oh yeah, the performance standards. We will agree with all the performance standards in the zoning ordinance. Nothing they're doing there is different than they're doing now.
Okay.
And then just briefly on the comment letter, we basically went through it, talked to our surveyor, looked at the additional information that Mr. Jones and Mr. Waite asked for. And there's no items on this list that we currently cannot provide, and we'll be able to do that for the township and your engineer.
Okay, so all will complies. Fire marshal.
Yes.
Any questions from the board?
Oh, sorry, one question for Mr. Jones. Basically, we're saying water and sewer, we won't comply, but we'll respond accordingly that we now have a sewage exemption.
Right.
And also for the Bucks County Conservation District, the nature of the business is drilling, augering post frame into the ground and then basically leveling it with stone. So the amount of disturbance is going to be very minimal, and it's only going to be 3,000 square feet, so we won't kick over to 5,000.
It's 1,000 in Bucks County.
1,000? So they still need adequacy from Bucks County?
Yes, you can feel free to contact the Conservation District and see if the type of excavation you're doing would qualify, but the threshold is 1,000 square feet.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I did one somewhere else in Bucks County recently too, so, but I thought it was over 5,000. All right.
Any questions for the board? Mr. Jones, any concerns?
No concerns, Mr. Chairman.
Any public comment? So no exceptions, you will comply with the entire list?
Correct.
Entertain a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the waiver of land development for TJJ Properties, 92440 East Tyburn Road, Morrisville, PA. Tax map parcel 13047014, zoned HI. And they will comply with everything in the Jones Engineering letter, according to testimony here tonight. And I think that's the end of my...
Fire marshal, traffic.
Oh, and the fire marshal and there was no traffic study, was there? Was there a traffic study? According, we'll comply with the fire marshal's review and the traffic study.
Yeah, do you guys have that?
We do not, but we will put the plan in front of the fire marshal and flush out any comments he may have and get them over to you.
Sounds good.
Second.
Do we have a second? All right.
I need a second.
Oh, I second that approval.
Please, Mr. Jesse, please pull the board.
All right. Mr. Everett,
Yes.
Mr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Haney.
Yes,
I vote yes. Mr. Hartzell?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 2 is continued at the applicant's request, so that'll be rescheduled. Item number 3, New Pennsbury High School, TMP number 13-015-175, 13-015-175-175-001, 13-018-003, 13-018-003-001, 13-018-003-003, 13-018-003-005, 13-018-003-007, 13-018-022, and 13-018-025. This is just a sketch plan they're going to present to us. We will not be voting on anything, but we will take public comment at the end.
Mr. Haney, thank you very much. Kelly McGowan, representing Pennsbury School District this evening. As you just indicated, this is a sketch plan. We requested sketch plan review of the township engineer in order to further the process. We wanted to confirm a few things. As you're aware, this is a redevelopment of the existing high school campus. We wanted to confirm zoning compliance. We wanted to confirm layout items, and we wanted to confirm any additional requirements or any additional items that the township engineer may be looking for in connection with this project. So this is our first presentation to the Planning Commission. As you indicated, no action is necessary. So as you are all aware, this is the existing Pennsbury High School. I am joined this evening by a representative of KCBA. That is the project architect, Mike Strohacker. Also by Terraform Engineering, Terry DeGroot. We have Dr. Thomas Smith here, School District Superintendent, as well as Principal Reggie Meadows, Principal of the high school, and multiple board members in support of the project. So with that, I want to provide you just with a little bit of background, and then we'll take you through the proposed building, and then we'll go through Mr. Jones' letter. I don't think we have to go point by point. I do want the Planning Commission to be aware of some items, how we're addressing those items, and then take any comments or questions that you may have before we move into the formal land development process. So we're starting in the institutional zoning district. If we can go down to the aerial here, you can see the existing campus. You can see that campus is fronting on Hood Boulevard to the south. You have Queen Anne Drive, and then you have Olds. And if I can orient you a little bit here, we have the what we refer to as High School West. I have that correct, to the left, what I'm calling the left of the aerial.
Full screen.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much. That's better. And then High School East down to the south to the right, and then what you can see is Stadium in the middle. And as you indicated at the beginning, as you're reading off these tax parcel numbers, if we can continue on to the tax map, you can see that this is at this point, group of 9 parcels that encompasses the entirety of the tract. You can see the existing building improvements indicated on this map. You can also see the general setting If I move on to one more slide, we'll show you the boundaries of the institutional zoning district. I point out one thing to you, and that was raised in Mr. Jones' letter. You can see at the bottom right of your screen, at the corner of the campus, there's a very small piece. It's 0.7 acres. Located in the NCR zoning district. I think this is probably either an omission or a carryover from a prior zoning. If you can picture the property, if you're behind the car wash, which is that corner property indicated, it's in the red zoning district. It's like a wooded area. So we're proposing no activities, no development, nothing for that small parcel. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as it did come up in the review letter. So at this point, again, we have existing conditions. You can see Hanford Road at the top, as I indicated before, Olds Boulevard, which is where the existing school fronts. Currently, you come down on Queen Anne, and then you have Hood to the bottom of the plan. The general proposal is what you can see here. It is going to be the elimination of the two separate high school buildings, bringing all of the students into one larger, efficient building with then associated improvements that you will see and we can take you through, which include additional driveway access, parking, and some ancillary facilities. At this time, I'd like to have Mike from KCBA come up so he can take you through the images that we have of the new school.
Good evening. Mike Strohecker from KCB Architects. I was just going to run through some of the site plan and some of the images of the proposed building. In addition, one other thing I should mention, in addition to east and west being demolished, the existing Village Park Elementary School and the existing natatorium will be demolished once the new building is complete. So it would be a total of 630,000 square feet of building space that will be eliminated and replaced with about 497,000 square feet. So you can see the proposed building there. That would be the new main entrance. Separate athletic community entrance to the east with associated parking for community use. Shot from sort of above Hood Boulevard. And then a shot looking towards Hood Boulevard there. That would be the main entrance on the right. Basically, the center portion of the building is the majority of the classroom spaces, and then these spaces all the way on the left in this slide is the majority of the physical education and athletics programs, as well as the cafeteria. Rendering of the proposed main entrance there, straight ahead, right behind the flag. That would be the main entrance. To the right is a small performance space in the auditorium, music department, and again, to the left would be the majority of the classrooms. Another image of that classroom space. We are proposing sort of a semi-enclosed courtyard that's in this rendering, and then sort of behind this is an enclosed courtyard. This would be a view from Hood Boulevard there. See the auditorium on the left, the media center or library in the middle of the rendering there, and basically a three-story science wing towards the right. Another image of that area. We are proposing some outdoor spaces. Current educational theory is to bring in a lot of natural light. Kids seem to learn better when there's more natural light, and also be able to get them outside a little bit and not keep them confined within the walls of the school. This would be the gym community entrance, proposing a terrace out there for community use. As you know, the prom is a big thing in Pennsbury, so this is all being planned to accommodate the prom and sports night. So these are actually renderings as if you were on the sidewalk across the street on Hood Boulevard looking at the school. Again, this would be sort of looking towards the gym entrance there with the cafeteria. A little further along, this would be the classroom wing. And then this is a view from Queen Anne. Again, it's basically standing on the sidewalk across the street, looking back at the building. And then a view from Olds Boulevard. Obviously, this doesn't depict the final landscaping that will be installed. That's yet to be designed and coordinated with our civil engineer and the township engineer. These are just some of the actual construction drawings that we're in the process of preparing, showing the proposed building heights of various portions of the building. As you kind of saw in the renderings, the building steps up and down depending upon what program is inside that building. For instance, the auditorium needs to be a very tall space. A classroom doesn't need to be anywhere near as tall. So you can see there the image, the view from Queen Anne Drive. We're looking at just over 43 feet from the grade to the highest point of the building along Queen Anne. The majority of the classroom space, which is that center portion of the building, you can see is also roughly 43 feet high. It's 3 stories, 14 feet floor to floor, so that's how you get the 43 feet. And then the lowest point on Queen Anne there towards the right is just over 28 feet. Then these are a few of the elevations from Hood Boulevard. The top one there, all the way to the left, is 49 feet 8, so just under the 50 feet height regulation. That's the stage. You have the stage and you have a fly loft. So the idea is that you have the scenery that is basically on the stage behind a performance, and the idea is that you can fly that all the way up and out and bring another one down for performances. That kind of dictates how tall the space is required to be. On the right-hand side of that elevation is the media center. That's almost 32 feet high. And then the cafeteria on the bottom there, that's 22 feet high. That's only a single-story space, so it doesn't need to be higher than that. We have started to look at exterior materials with the school district, and you can see from this rendering here, we're looking to use 3 different bricks, a gray brick, sort of a red brick, and another brick that's slightly larger in scale, to kind of break it down so it doesn't look like it's this huge, massive 3-story building. Another rendering, again, just of, that's the small performance space or black box theater. A little bit of gray brick and a red brick. And that's it. Yep.
So as you can see, the plans for the actual building have progressed quite well over the past several months. And we are now set with the footprint and now at the point where through the sketch plan, we're prepared to move into land development. There were a few things, again, that we wanted to accomplish with the sketch plan, the first of which, as this Planning Commission's jurisdiction is concerned, is compliance with the zoning ordinance, first and foremost, to confirm that this is a by right plan. So we have gone through Mr. Jones' comments. You saw the slides with respect to building height to confirm compliance. There's one other point that I wanted to make on the zoning aspect, and that is dimensional. So we reviewed, all of the dimensions of the plan. We're actually improving the situation with respect to setbacks as the situation currently exists. Mr. Jones also pointed out in his letter that there is a buffer requirement. That buffer requirement is a 20-foot buffer, and that is required adjacent to any residential uses or districts. So what you will see on the land development plans will be a 20-foot buffer located in those areas, and that is in addition to the building setbacks. So for example, for a 100-foot front yard setback, you'll see a 20-foot buffer, then you'll see your 100-foot building setback starting from that 20 feet. So you have 120 feet from the street line, and that will be from Hood and also from Queen Anne. The other thing that we have confirmed, again, is how the layout works with respect to both impervious surface, building coverage, all of those types of items. As you heard from Mike, the actual square footage of the buildings is actually being reduced in connection with this project because it's a more efficient design. So we're also showing compliance with that. Always a big one, parking. Have gone through the parking requirements for the primary use and also the sub-uses to confirm parking compliance. In fact, this plan is over-parked, at least in so far as your zoning ordinance is concerned, and that is to provide for things like events, special events, and other things that may be occurring on the campus. Does the Planning Commission have any questions at this point?
You answered my question about the building size, so thank you for that. My only question is, I see that we're adding additional fields, which is great. Are we going to be lighting any of those fields?
So we've not yet come up with a lighting plan. As you know, the existing stadium is lit. There are two critical things, I think, and this is one of them, lighting and landscaping. So those two plans will come up. Yes, there will be lighting on the campus. So those two plans will be prepared in connection with the land development, and we'll be prepared to provide that information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I kind of breezed through this quickly, but
Sure.
is there anything in regards to the Shade Tree Commission? Are we removing any trees existing or going to plant more?
So we're certainly planting likely a significant number of trees. There will be buffer plantings, street tree requirements in your subdivision ordinance, and we'll confirm any tree removal. There will not be significant tree removal, right, Terry?
Speaking of like.
Yeah, Terry DeGroot?
There will be some tree removal required. There's a lot of large evergreens on the property, some of which are somewhat past their lifetime. So we'll have to take some of those out. But obviously, we will comply with all the requirements of your ordinance as far as planting trees, both around and in the site.
In regards to sidewalks, they're not the best currently. Are we going to do infrastructure going into Fairless Hills, Vermillion Hills, and along the boulevards?
So that was one of the things we talked about internally, yes, the sidewalk network. So that takes us into the traffic and the pedestrian connectivity, vehicle connectivity, and some of the new entrances, new sidewalk locations. We will be preparing a traffic impact study, and the traffic engineer will review both the internal circulation, pedestrian and vehicle, as well as meet the requirements for the traffic study for the surrounding area.
Okay. My last question, or more of a statement and comment, is the fire department uses the one hydrant on the site there pretty much for our training. So it'll be recommended that we can still utilize that and have one off so we don't affect the township residents. That's why we utilize that for the most part, that it won't stain their water. So I'd appreciate if that maintains there.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I was curious about, will you have both east and west open when you plan to build? Yes.
Yes, yeah, there will be a detailed phasing plan that's actually already been pretty fairly well developed. So we will show that phasing plan with the land development submission. It will actually take the township through how that construction is proposed to work.
I do have one more question, actually. When you did the renovations to Bain, you moved some students out of the school. Are they, during the construction, are they all going to be out of west and east, or are you going to move some to other schools?
Yeah, please.
Tom Smith, Superintendent of Schools. Thanks for letting us present this evening. East and west will continue to move as it currently is. So there will be a construction fence that goes around the construction area, but east and west will function as they currently do for the duration of the entire construction project.
Okay, and then kind of, will the construction vehicles be traffic? That's my worry. If we're going to have everybody still there, when we're going to bring trucks in and out, and construction vehicles, construction workers, are we going to set up temporary parking for them where they can access? And just, I mean, it's nuts coming in on the school day in and out.
Absolutely.
Because the workers will start at the same time.
So you'll see as part of the phasing plan, there will be an 8-foot construction fence with the green,
Okay.
the green screen, but there will be a dedicated construction entrance, dedicated construction parking, and there should be no interaction between contractors and students and/or staff.
I'm sure the new school time will help that too, because they'll
Yes.
probably start earlier. Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's all I have. Any other questions from the board? All right, as I said earlier, this is just a sketch plan. We're not taking any vote on this. We do value your opinions. I'm going to limit the time to 2 minutes. They will be coming in front of this board again for the final vote, and they'll be coming through the other boards. Did they go through zoning yet?
No need. No variances have been
Okay,
identified.
so it'll be back in front of this board again once everything's together. But if you would like to give public comment now, I'm going to limit it to 2 minutes. Please give your name and your address, please, for the record, and make sure you speak into the microphone.
And please spell your name for records.
My name is Jennifer Metzger, Jennifer. Metzger is Metzger. I live directly across from the street where you're talking about building the school and where we live directly across from east and west on the campus now. I don't appreciate that you're cutting our public comment, and I don't think it's appropriate that everybody's treating this as a foregone conclusion. This has been discussed for multiple periods of time. However, Dr. Smith only just sent us a letter July 31st of last year for a September community meeting. There is precedent in the township. You even just did it recently with a 50-foot apartment building going up that you reduced from 3 stories down to 2 stories, and there's fencing and landscaping for all of that. So we do want this building to be lower than what they're talking about. They're talking about 50 feet, but that's not including the fact that they're talking about putting a greenhouse and all of the HVAC components on top of the roof. So we have concern with that. We have concern with the environment. There are air issues. There are water issues. The water issues that are causing them to not want to replace east and west and fix those are, at this point, causing severe flooding around the entire area already. I don't understand how, if they haven't done maintenance for 25 years, that they're going to appropriately do it on a new building. And then the number one problem that we're seeing is they did a very rudimentary water study, and 20 feet down, there is all silt, sand, and just water, no bedrock. They're talking about doing a floating slab. You men are very educated in this, so I don't need to explain to you that a floating slab is not indicated, and it's unprecedented for a 500,000 square foot building. We all know that it's for maybe 5,000 square feet, maybe. They're not even talking about a monolithic. They're not talking about piers. They told us no to a basement. So I don't understand how they think the foundation is going to work on virgin, unperked ground that is wet. Major issues. They're talking about noise. I mean, you're going to do construction on land where the kids are currently going to school. And just so that you're all aware, PHS West that sits down on South Olds Boulevard currently is the same size as what they're talking about building up on the top of Hood Boulevard. And if you take West out, I would like to know where they think all of the water is going to go if you remove that 20-foot wall right now that's holding it all back. That's where the stairs are that we have to walk down from east to west consistently. And I refer to it as us because I attended 25 years ago. There were water problems then. There are water problems now. When we did the petitions against Carolyn Lake, Galloway was involved to help write it out. There were 4,000 people that signed that petition to say, please don't bring YMCA over to Falls Township. Why is that relevant? Water was one of our largest issues. So we're really asking you to be very aware of the fact that what they're doing is pulling the information and then burying it. So we're asking you to make sure that there are considerations for air quality, noise, geology, water, any of the natural resources that are being affected, health and safety. I don't know if you know it, but they've also added synthetic turf to 2 of the fields, and we believe that they intend to do it on additional fields. One of them's been installed, one of them has not yet. We're talking about PFAS, forever chemicals. We're talking about lead just in the blades of grass.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I gave you more than 2 minutes.
You did, and I respect that.
I appreciate your comments. Like I said, this is a sketch plan. We're not directly involved in a lot of things you're bringing up. We're just straight land development.
No, but you can say no.
What's
And
that?
you can send recommendations to the Falls
Understood.
Board of Supervisors.
But we're
You have a
gonna-
lot of weight here, and we
I do,
really
and I'm
appreciate
gonna-
all
We're
of your
going to give
information.
recommendations on what's presented, what our board and commission does, but I appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
All right, Robert Abrams, Lower Makefield Township, that's ABR AMS. First of all, the building is too small. The enrollment figures filed by the district are 2,852. The footage for the building is only for 2,800 people. You're going to have approximately, the way you've written here, 4,000 people, 180 days trying to get into these buildings. All right, you have 2,852 students, approximately 500 employees. You're going to have 110 buses running up and down Hood Boulevard and South Olds Boulevard. As Ms. Metzger said, once West is gone, you're going to create a flood zone all by yourself. Now, you also have traffic issues. You're going to have all these people, all these teachers, all these employees And I'm estimating 4,000 because now I'm seeing the bus depot and also an administration building on your agenda here. And there's actually a bike lane on Hood Boulevard. You're going to put 4,000 people trying to get into a building at 7:30 in the morning with bikes going past. You have to get the Falls Township Police Department to have a satellite office right there, plus the ambulance. Okay? This is a train wreck. All right? There's a proposal from September 1st of 2021. It was just sent to the supervisors by me this afternoon for 521,000 square feet to rehab the rest of West High School and extend it. It was at $99 million. This project here, by the math, by the two schools that were just complete or are in process or to be completed, is going to be no less than $360 million. The cost to the community, Mr. Burnick told Peg Kwan here, and also Levittown Now, that he plans to borrow $565 million now, and then another $500 million on top of it, or over $1 billion. 30-year notes at 5% say the payback to the community is $2.5 billion with a B dollars. This community cannot afford it because actually the school district turned in that 26% of the community, the kids attending school are low income. All right, you also have another very, very serious issue here with seniors. That 70% of the community has no use for the Pennsbury School District, yet they're going to have to pay these bills. You're going to lose waste management in the next 5 or 7 years. Waste management presents 47.1% of your total revenue, meaning Falls Township taxes will have to at least double, probably 2.5 times or triple, and now you're going to have to put $1 billion worth of bonds on top of that.
Sir, I appreciate your comments. It's not recommended to the planning commission right now.
Okay, this is just a train wreck. Okay?
Thank you for your comments.
And the building's not big enough.
Thank you for your comments.
I live across the street. I don't think I should spell my name. It's actually Agent Candy Watermelon. I'd like to see the anticipated emergency generator emissions, the process hazardous materials, emergency response actions, alert system summary, total trips for AEP facility, proposed condition levels of service. This is a site plan, so I guess I'll be able to look at that online. The site access plan, the land use zoning map, soils map, regional geology, bedrock geology, surface water quality map, floodplain map, national wetland inventory map, census tract map, aerial map, transportation network and site access plan, risk assessment radius and surrounding sites. This new building will be a ghetto eyesore built on virgin land with no bedrock. This flawed jewel will be a monument to our brick city, a floating slab of concrete, a metropolis jungle that will institutionalize K-12 attention or detention to conform and be obedient to the teachers, school administrators with or without PhDs or MDs, keeping them at blue-collar work. They won't teach them academics. The school is all about playing on the football field. If you know anything about PFAS, they're in condoms, they're in your underwear, they're in your brasiers, they're in dental floss. PFAS is everywhere. If you look at the birds and the way the birds are actually migrating, the eggs are hatching with deformities. And you probably all fish. The fish you eat goes to the wastelands or the sewer plant. Yardley's getting a sewer plant full of PFAS. All of that stuff is going into the bodies of children. And your children will probably not meet the same age as you. If you reach 85, your children probably will reach 60. You should look up Dark Waters. It's a movie. It explains everything I'm talking about. I'm just an analytical chemist working at DuPont. They gave volunteers Teflon cigarettes. They all dead. Scotch Guard. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you for your comments.
Any other public comment? Go ahead.
Ruth Mitchner. I live in Fairless Hills on Dune Road, Falls
Could you
Township.
please speak into the microphone?
And to the microphone, is that
That's
better?
much
Oh, I
Thank you,
can,
thank you.
oh. And all the sound gets trapped up there.
Yeah.
So 3 things I have questions about, and one is the water and the impervious surfaces. The 2 slides of what is impervious now and what looks to be impervious in planning is of some concern to me. And are we not putting a swimming pool back in after we take the building down? Is it a new building?
Yes.
Is that on the plan? Oh, it's not in the plan?
No, I don't know if I should.
Where is it?
Just speak into the microphone.
Yes, a new pool is included in the building.
Okay, so the pool's and building. So we're taking that building down. But the 2 slides by comparison look like we were putting in a lot more impervious surface. And I don't know if that's true, and that's for engineering to decide. But questions about the synthetic turf. Was there a permit required for the first field?
For the new football field, they obtained land development approval, came through the land development process for that.
Okay.
And also obtained an NPDES permit from DEP for that project.
And so the turf is probably porous, correct? And it's got all kinds of drainage underneath it. Does it drain into a conduit system and into a
believe it-
retention basin, or where does
I
it go?
believe it infiltrates.
It just infiltrates into the soil, so that adds to the sponge that we're building on. And the second proposed athletic field, that's synthetic turf, does that already have a permit? Has that already gone through all the approvals?
I haven't seen anything on the second field. I
Okay,
believe
so,
that's going to be part of the land development. So when it comes in for the land development, we'll address any comments we may have or may not on that then.
okay. So that's what I have questions about in terms of drainage and impervious surface. I have concerns about traffic and trash. Traffic, we all know that the vehicular traffic is a nightmare, especially before school, but my concern is in the process of construction that we make sure that those students have a dedicated pedestrian pathway that is paved while they go back and forth to school. They currently do not. Up until last spring, they did during school. Before school, last September, they did not. The gates for the football stadium were closed before school, and if a student lived on Olds Boulevard and had their first class at East, they had to walk on the road a bit. And then that was changed, and then there was more construction. And that pathway was disturbed. And for a time, students had to walk around the pool building. Fortunately, we didn't have rain. It was dry. And they walked back and forth for classes. And I have not yet met a student that does not go back and forth at least once a day. So that path was disrupted. It still has not been completed. So I walked it just Monday. And after school, it's really dangerous because after school, it's not blocked off. There are students that go back and forth between those buildings, and there's this section where they can't walk on the path. If the football stadium's open, they can walk through there. That might not be true. There are after-school activities, and after school, there is some traffic. It's not closed off. Now, if we can't continue to have a safe pedestrian path now, while we don't have any major construction, it's going to be, how do I want to say this, more important and more difficult to maintain a safe pedestrian pathway for students during construction. And like I said, that path is not yet complete. They have to walk, and they can walk the path partway, and then they can get on the road for part of it. So they can avoid any vehicular traffic. But the transition between the two is rocks and gravel and dirt. It's really a simple thing. I could probably fix it myself. I could get my truck, go get sand and gravel, and pour it in, and get a couple bags of Quikrete and pave it over.
I appreciate your comments, and with the student safety, absolutely.
I can't remember the student's name, I think it was Ashley, but some of us weren't here 20 or so years ago when a student was hit by a school bus. Her whole life was changed, and that was on school property. So this is not a trite matter, this is serious.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for your comments.
I have an objection under Sunshine. Code Act 710.1C regarding the engineer's comment.
We're in a sketch plan. We're just taking public comment right now. It's nothing for a vote.
I understand, but he gave you incorrect information about the plastic carpet that was laid, synthetic field. It is
Okay.
not impervious. It's actually.
Okay, can the next individual, please, you can come up. Come on, sir.
Well, you have to listen to the, I'm not going to
We
interrupt.
do,
Sir,
I'll just give you, can I, 1 second,
sir,
please?
Sir,
Please.
I'm familiar with 710C3. I've used it against your own solicitor. You are required to hear her point.
I'll hear what she has to
and
say.
then make a ruling, and then I will speak.
That's fine, we'll hear it. All I want to say is that we do not vote what's being put in there for the carpet. That doesn't come in front of us. So we are more than welcome to speak to it. We do not make a decision on that. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I'm saying.
That's your handling of the ruling. Now I'm happy to speak.
Yeah.
Because you do have to give her that answer under
Oh, no,
law.
that's fine. We
All
don't
right.
have.
I just didn't want to interfere and allow you to be in
in
compliance with the law.
I can't understand to speak to Mike. Yes, we don't make a decision on what carpet's going to be put in there.
Yes, we can't have people shouting from the back and then, okay.
Just come up to the.
Yes, you can, Colin.
Okay, we can. but
She,
we have
under the
people
law,
for
has a
decorum
right
here.
under
No,
710C3. You can
Sir,
talk to Mr.
all I'm
Clark
asking
about
is
it.
that you come up to, if you have to speak, come up to the mic. That's all I'm asking for. I
Yeah,
can't.
I'm
I
here
can't
to
hear
do
back.
my public comment. I was going to respect
Go ahead.
her rights under the laws
Yeah, I wanted her to come
of
up. All good.
Pennsylvania. You
Appreciate
had to
it.
give that
Appreciate it.
answer,
Yep.
and I wanted to give you the chance.
Go ahead.
So my
All
name
good.
is Tim Daly, last name D-A-L-Y. I live in Lower Makefield Township. So first thing I just want to add to what this lady Ruth had to share, it's not just about during class time, it's also after school activities, these issues. So it's more than just probably one single pathway, it's multiple pathways where there needs to be some protection. So I'm just going to address a couple of things that were shared. The gentleman from KCBA, he used the word required. So he said the Performing Arts Auditorium requires a 49-foot facility. I think the word he needed to use was the school district desires a 49-foot auditorium because, as all of us know, they have 3 auditoriums right now, and none of them are 49 feet. And you can go around the school districts all over Bucks County. I will tell you on this, 0 is how many have a 49-foot auditorium. So this needs to be reviewed. This is a want, not a need, and basically it needs to be determined to be safe. The visual renderings that were shown were all misrepresentations. They were not drawn to scale. As you heard this lady right here from KCPA tell you, the distances away from the street, sidewalks and that, those renderings were all bogus. It's despicable that you would show that we're paying $8.8 million for what I think a 12-year-old could do with basic software you can buy in Office Depot. All right, we deserve better than that, okay? Let's be honest. The lady did give you the exact numbers. That's what matters. Do not be misrepresented by that bogus rendering that was provided. Next, they promoted that it's a big deal and a big benefit to our community that they're going to get rid of 24% of the square footage. All right, so I want you all to understand that Dr. Smith is on public record multiple times, because I put him on public record to answer it, is that 25% of teachers will not have a designated classroom. They will be working in mobile carts. I've asked questions as to where in the sketch plan and the renderings and all this, where do 25% of teachers go and sit during the period that they're not working? Because that's what's going to have to happen. And nobody can seem to give me an answer. So it really brings to me a concern about safety concerns within this building, that you're going to have the same number of students, 3/4 of it less, and you can go listen to public comments that there's a social studies teacher who basically came up and said, there's not enough space as it is. I can't walk through. So, you know, this teacher comes in and says all these things, and it's all been universally rejected, but he was actually supporting it, and that's when the building was like 600,000 square feet, and before it was dropped down so that it will actually pass an Act 34 hearing without having a referendum. So, and the last thing, just wanted to put on record with all of you, just so that it's aware, because I do think it's another thing that the Planning Commission needs to review, that the school district officially acknowledged to the community that start times will be changing. And obviously, that has to be purviewed as to what this is going to mean to traffic congestion, how elongated it's going to be because of all these individuals that are going to have to come in. You're going to have to do some studies, and they're going to have to pay for those studies to understand, because you're not just doing what Robert was saying was 4,000. You've got parents dropping their kids off, and now you got a couple of hundred contractors with, you know, major trucks coming on. You're talking about a huge change in that intersection, and I'll tell you, I dropped my kids off for 2 years over there. Pleasure going into West. You get that little bump up at the end, going up to East, coming up News Falls Road to Hood. It's a disaster. We're gonna add another 500 to 1,000 people over a 90-minute period of time. I think we have some very serious conversations we need to have about traffic flow.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. And thank you for your leniency, allowing people to speak.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Any other public comment? I will say one thing. As we get through this, we'll get more drawings and plans, which comes into traffic flow studies, things that we'll review. This sketch plan, we're looking at one thing. We will take your comments into consideration. I wrote them down a bunch. We'll look into them. When it comes to land development, we will definitely scrutinize the plans, give our recommendations when we see that. Some things we can't make a recommendation on, but what we can and what's in our purview, we will. And we appreciate what you all have to say. So, thank you. Let's try that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the board, item, next on the docket, item number 4, Lower Bucks Home Builders, Fallsington, Tullytown Road, Levittown, PA, TMP number 13-042-342 through 13-042-351, 10 lot zone NC, preliminary and final land development, consolidation of 10 existing lots into one.
You have this in. Good evening, Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin, here tonight on behalf of Lower Bucks Home Builders. Lower Bucks Home Builders is the equitable owner of a series of small parcels, 10 to be exact, which are before you for consideration this evening. During this process, we have been referring to them as movie lots due to their small size. The parcels, as you can see, front on Fallsington, Tullytown Road, and they back on Route 13. In the aggregate, because at the end of the day, if the contractor garages, which we're going to discuss in a second, get built, The result would be a one large lot consolidation into a parcel which will be just under 51,000 square feet. The properties are located in the NC district. We went to the zoning hearing board to receive a series of variances to facilitate the development because, as you can imagine, given the site constraints and the lack of depth and the existence of a right-of-way to the rear, the ability to develop anything on this property that's meaningful and productive is considerably limited. What we are proposing this time is the construction of 3 separate contractor garages. 2 of the garages would be approximately 4,725 square feet. One of them would be approximately 5,250 square feet. There are underground stormwater facilities proposed with the application. And I have Jamie McCafferty here and David Baginski to answer any questions in a minute. And Jamie, again, if desired, can discuss the reasons behind this application and his intent. But really, at the end of the day, and as we discussed at the zoning hearing board, the purpose is to lease these units to startup or small business contractors such as plumbers, as an example, if this ends up being built. There is no traffic, basically no traffic at all. There's no parking spaces, as you can see on the site. It's proposed as one-way circulation coming in from one side of Fallsington, Tullytown, and then exiting, obviously, to what we've described as the Plan West portion of the property. The units would be accessed generally by box truck or van, not large vehicles. There won't be any offices inside any of the units. There is no exterior storage of material that's proposed. We agreed to that as a condition of approval at the zoning hearing board. The property, I just want to note this before we get into the plan design any further or discussion of the waivers, but due to the shallowness of the property, one of the notes has a comment regarding the woodlands disturbance, which is a waiver that we're seeking this evening. I will note that even though we are proposing to remove a substantial portion of the woodlands on site, if you look at the rear of the property, there is a significant buffer of vegetative foliage which would remain and be undisturbed. That is within PennDOT's right-of-way. So if, again, we receive recommended approval and ultimately approval by the supervisors and the contractor garages are constructed as is envisioned, even though we are disturbing the woodlands on site, there will be significant buffering that would remain between the rear of the property and Route 13. What I would suggest is have Mr. Baginski walk through the plan, and then we have a handful of waivers, which I think are fairly minor and would be anticipated for a project of this nature, and happy to go through the Jones Engineering review letter. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Hey, Commissioners, thanks so much. Dave Baginski with Gilmore & Associates. We're the engineer contractor for this job. So I could just walk you through, Mike explained it a little bit, but kind of walk you guys through the existing and proposed condition. So as mentioned, the existing condition, the lot is currently vacant. You know, it's 10 existing lots. We intend to consolidate into one proposed lot. The lot is vacant except for the entire lot is wooded. As you can see, the project has double frontage on Fallsington Tullytown Road and Bristol Pike there. And so that with, as Mike mentioned, the nature of the lot, you can't really build much in the way of productivity for the lot with the way the lots are oriented now. So it makes sense for us to potentially consolidate the lots. For the proposed condition, as you can see on the board here, we intend to build 3 contractor garages. One is 5,250 square feet, and the other 2 are 4,725 square feet. There's also a connection asphalt driveway that gains access for the buildings, and there are 2 access points from Fallsington Tullytown Road. Both are one-way driveways. The south will be an entrance only, while the north will be an exit only. As far as stormwater management, to manage the impervious that we're putting on site, you can see on the plans here, we're we intend to construct a subsurface infiltration basin. We did get pretty good infiltration results for the site, so we will be managing that stormwater and discharging it to the southeast of the site, which is where the existing stormwater goes in the existing condition. The garages will only be serviced by electric. There are no water and sewer facilities proposed for the site. We already have Bucks County Conservation District approval. We are in the process of obtaining a highway occupancy permit from PennDOT for the work in Fallsington Tolleytown Road. And as far as the review letters from Jones Engineering, the traffic engineer, and Bucks County Planning Commission, all will comply. I will have you note one of Jones's comments on this page 2 here is regarding the screening of dumpsters. There will be no trash or refuse collection for the site. The contractors will come in and out of the site. They will take any trash with them. There's no occupancy for the site long-term or on a daily basis. So there will be no dumpsters or anything needed for the site. So just to answer that zoning question, there will be no dumpsters or the need for screening. Otherwise, everything else with the letters will comply, and I'd be happy to answer any comments that the commissioners may have.
If I can, David, I think
Sure.
Jamie just briefly is going to address the planning commission regarding the intention behind the development, and then we can hop into the letters.
Sure. So what we're doing here are, as mentioned, contractor storage garages. These are very different from public storage where you might keep home furnishings or personal belongings. These garages are going to be geared towards the contractor who may have a helper and he's working out of his home, storing materials in his garage or backyard or shed, maybe with a work van or truck parked out front. This type of space is what allows that guy to go from a one-man show or a guy with a helper to a 4, 5, 6 employee company. There's not enough of this space out there today. The commercial real estate agent who is representing the seller sends me screenshots of texts he gets every other week from contractors reaching out to him looking for this type of space. So, these garages are going to be filled with small business owners from Levittown, Falls Township, Middletown Township, Bristol Township. And this, in my opinion, is just something that's really needed and a great use for this space.
So, one quick question, because there's no street numbers on it. This is basically down by Goldie Plumbing, that open land down there towards Lakeside?
Correct. Goldie Plumbing is adjacent to the garage you see on the far right.
Up there, okay. How close are you going to, yeah, how close are you going to come to the baseball fields? Are you going to be straight in front of the apartments?
These 3 garages will be in front of the apartments.
Okay.
They don't stretch down as far as the baseball fields do.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just concerned because there's always complaints because of parking, because of the baseball fields. I'm just curious to see how far down they would go.
So there are another 7 to 10 parcels planned left, which did recently receive the same variances as this project did, and will likely be pursued at some point in the future. But for clarity's sake, these 3 garages are directly across from the apartment buildings and Lakeside.
Just for caution, I mean, in the public safety portion of it, it's probably better off being developed so people won't park there because they just do that. So I was just curious of that. Just when it comes into that development, we'll talk later, but into the baseball fields, the water drainage is not the best, so we'll talk that another day.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question as well. So the apartments that are there already are dealing with the baseball field lighting, and I brought up lighting before. What is the lighting plan, and how are we addressing the concerns of the residents directly across the street during, overnight hours?
I think,
Yeah, so for the lighting, I don't have the lighting plan in the plan set I provided here, but we provide lighting along this frontage of the garages, so wall mounted. So it will essentially light up the the proposed driveway there, but it shouldn't, we have it designed so it shouldn't shine, into the road or affect the neighbors in the apartment buildings.
So that lighting will be pointed down. It's not going to be just wide open lighting for everything, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Part of the reason I was talking about the
Microphone, Michael.
Sorry. Part of the reason I was talking about the vegetated buffer too is there was one comment in April. I think we had one resident from the apartments who participated remotely and had a question about noise, and we were discussing the fact that this use, obviously we're not envisioning much in terms of noise at all, maybe someone coming to each of the units once a day. But one of the things we highlighted was the trees are going to form an additional, I think there was a concern that you get to the rear, you clear cut all the trees, not understanding, somebody wouldn't, that these are within the right of way, and that there might be more noise pollution spilling off of 13 coming to the apartments. So that's why I think it's important to note that if these are built, you're still going to have that big natural screening to the rear in addition to the small noise buffer that the units themselves would. We're not disturbing that. Yep.
Are you guys going to have to cut into any of the slope coming off of 13 for this?
In terms of regrading.
Yeah, so as far as for regrading, you can see, if you look on the plans here, at the top right, which is the southeast corner, that is the only area where we would need to potentially regrade. That's for stormwater considerations, because there's a culvert pipe that goes across Bristol Pike right there. So we would just have to essentially regrade in that area a little bit, remove a small amount of trees. But that would be the only area where we would potentially affect the slope in the right-of-way of Bristol Pike.
And then the other thing was, are you going to have to tie into any of the drainage from 13?
No, not directly. So no, we are not hard tying into any of the culverts. The culverts, we're not affecting the culvert to the north. There's a culvert to the north, sort of at the northern property boundary. We're not even coming close to that. For the south, we are outletting our pipe to the property line. We just have to have a little bit of grading so that the slope can actually get towards the existing culvert, but we aren't actually touching the existing culvert that goes under Bristol Pike.
I just have a question. Will these businesses have like storage outside, like materials or?
No, that was a condition that we will have as a plan note, was agreed upon explicitly at the zoning hearing board, that there will be no exterior storage of any material whatsoever.
No parking, like
Nope.
company vehicles? or
No
anything?
overnight parking as well,
Okay.
as the other condition.
Okay.
Another question for you. I noticed that in the stormwater plans, it shows both the north and the south side are going to tributaries of Mill Creek. Any concerns with environmental pollution, being that the area is going to be, not impervious anymore?
No, I mean, we've gone through with the Bucks County Conservation District as far as E&S controls, and we've worked with the Township Engineer's Office for stormwater controls. We don't see any issue with pollutants or runoff due to the site. The design of the underground system meets the stormwater ordinance or goes beyond it. So we are actually releasing less stormwater and at a lower rate than we would in pre-developing conditions. So with the improvements and the stormwater management system, I don't see an issue with Mill Creek or downstream.
And regarding pollutants, just because I think this also came up at the zoning hearing board, there is no hazardous material or any toxic material.
So they're not going to be
that
doing
would
oil changes in them?
That would be stored, right?
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Jones?
I would just add that we'll assure that the water quality requirements in our stormwater management ordinances are met, and just caution that the PennDOT HOP would probably have to include a drainage component since you're discharging onto the PennDOT right away.
Any public comment?
So if I understand this correctly, this is a garage where contractors can store both vehicles and equipment? No? Yes?
Just go up to the mic. I don't speak, please.
There's no exterior storage of any kind. There's no exterior
Can they put a
parking.
vehicle inside?
They could potentially pull a vehicle into the
Good.
garage, yes.
And I applaud that because I see all too many times now in Falls where small contractors are parking their vehicles on the planting strip. And that's all I have to say about that. But we need more of these kinds of sites because what happened when we lost the mill is the people who were working at the mill would drive to the mill. Now, the people that would work at the mill have their personal vehicle and a construction vehicle. And the community wasn't designed with that kind of parking in mind. So this is something we need. I don't know if we can get more of it. And we probably should be enforcing all of those people who are parking their construction vehicles on the planting strip and creating big mud ruts in the planting strip. So thank you.
Appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Hi. The only question that I had about it was there was a really large fire at the one storage facility, and I'm wondering if there was any like warnings or precautions or anything that they're going to try to do, especially since this is for contractors, you know, trucks, any of the equipment is going to have gas and diesel and different things in it. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that they're going to try to do to, you know, be a little bit more careful with that.
Condition of the variances we received were to explicitly prohibit any hazardous or those type of materials. So there would be no diesel, gasoline, there'll be no oil storage.
Generators and vehicles. Like, you know, I mean, it's going to happen. It's not intentional, but, you know, you have somebody living on site at a personal public storage that wasn't supposed to be there. How are you going to be careful with equipment and trucks and different things like that?
Agreed. We can recommend to follow the fire marshal's recommendations, what they do, and then just recommend they put a fire alarm system in it so we can get activated from there. It's what we will.
Just something, because we're talking about chemical fire, so.
Understood.
You know, our guys are volunteer.
Yep.
We would be happy to put a fire detection system in the buildings.
Yes. I mean, it's probably better for insurance too if you put sprinklers in if you have it these days. So. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I recommend approval for preliminary land development for Paulson's and Tullytown Road Garages, tax map parcel 13-042-342, tax map parcel 13-042-343, tax map parcel 344, 345, 346, 347, 348, 349, 350, and 351 as well. Zone NC for approval in association with testimony given tonight, along with recommending with the Falls Township Fire Marshal's plans and the Bucks County Planning Commission and traffic study. I don't think there was a traffic study, was there? Anyway, if there's a traffic study, mind by that as well. I'd send in my motion.
Second. Mr. O'Brien, please pull the board.
Mr. Everett?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
I vote no. Mr. Hartzell?
No.
Mr. Haney?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 5. I recommend to approve the minutes as written for November 26, 2024, a long time ago.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.